Yeah, reading's probably the most important thing children do at school. They've spent a lot of graft and a lot of hard work up until year 3 learning to read. That is to decode words and to extract meaning from text. It's the second part of that thing really that we take on now. Any children who haven't completed read writing to the standard needed and their phonics skills are still in need of a bit of work, they will partake of read writing. They'll go to a group and they'll have those things brushed up. The vast majority will go on to looking at text and exploring the meaning of that text, whether that's a story, a poem, fiction, non-fiction, whatever it is. And it's what we do as adults. We're constantly interacting with text and reading and learning how to explore it in greater depth. I'm sure there are texts out there I know there are, that we could put them in front of us all as adults and we would struggle to understand what they mean. Well, children are on that journey as well. We are all on that journey. So we do that at several levels. We share good quality texts in our English lessons and do a lot of work on those. Our guided reading will be extracts and short texts, which again we share as whole classes, and we look at the layers of meaning in that, learning to infer and deduct and interpret what the author has been trying to put, or maybe what the author is asking us. Home reading is equally as important. In the past, you may have helped children practice their phonics skills. Well, as children get older, they need less of that, but they still need regular practice and your support and interest in what they are reading. I think that becomes your role as parents, talking about them, maybe reading with them, reading a little bit to them and them reading to you, yes, but more showing an interest and making reading a priority at home. It is the most valuable thing you do to support the children as they get older. Some children are more reluctant than others. Some, it's harder, and you have to work harder at finding texts that interest them. But they are all out there. They will have a choice. They will move off their colour band as quickly as we can get them off it and let them free choose. It's by far the most motivating way of reading, choosing what you want to read. But that will need encouragement from you and us, and that will be regularly checked. Most of it will be through the HomeLink book, where there's a reading diary section that children can be encouraged to fill in, and of course there'll be plenty of dialogue with you as parents, between us and you, about what's being read and how things are going, whether you've got a totally reluctant reader and you need a bit of help pointing you in the right direction for books, or whether you like some authors recommending. We can talk about all of those things whenever you like, but certainly at the first parents' evening. It's really important that we keep our focus on reading.
This slide is all about the maths at Norton. As part of our maths curriculum, we cover all areas of maths, so shape, measures, time, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And at Norton, we really do pride ourselves on the problem-solving aspect that weaves itself through all of the lessons that we do on a daily basis. We do lots of investigative maths because we believe it's really important to build the children's resilience with maths, so that they understand that when presented with things that are challenging, it's okay to feel like you don't know the answer, and it's okay to feel a little bit stuck sometimes. And the investigative stuff also encourages them to persevere and realise that you can't always get to the answer straight away, and sometimes the answer's only the beginning, and there's a lot more to solving a problem than meets the eye. So we do a lot of problem solving and investigations, which are great. In the lessons, all the work is set to your child's level, and we use concrete apparatus which is readily available for all children in the class, so that they can access this to support them with their learning. When we talk about the concrete apparatus and equipment, we use things like Base 10, Pneumacon, which they'll have been familiar with since reception, place value counters, place value charts, arrow cards for place value. So we have an abundance of resources that we use in class to support the children with their understanding. We believe that it's really important actually that the children use these materials, because it gives them the opportunity to manipulate the numbers they're working with and really get a good concrete understanding of the mathematical concepts that they're learning about. So we do encourage the children to explore the maths that we're covering in the lessons using this equipment. We also probe the children further and say, well, prove to me how you know that's the answer. And one way they can prove is by using the equipment to show how they got to the answer. As I mentioned earlier, the children are taught maths daily, and we use and follow a mastery approach, which means we look at the small steps that are needed in order for the children to meet each objective. So the mastery curriculum is really making sure that the children have a deep, secure understanding of the different objectives covered in both Year 3 and Year 4. And it's about not moving on until the children are really secure with that objective. So you revisit it, you build on their knowledge, you deepen their understanding. Now, usually in Year 3 and 4, the children would be taught in their year groups for maths. However, at the moment, due to COVID-19 and the guidance that's been released by the government, as of September, the children will be taught maths in their class bubbles. So I will teach Ash class maths and Mr. Thomas will teach Oak class maths along with Mrs. Billsland. However, as we're all aware, the guidance is ever changing. So as and when new guidance comes out, as a school, we might look at the way maths is taught and change it, but you will be informed of any changes to the teaching of maths prior to it happening.
The values of the school are the same as you'd expect. We encourage children to reflect on these, often in terms of conversations about behaviour, and I don't mean that as conversations about bad behaviour. I mean the way we all behave towards other people. The standard, we label them as Christian values, but of course they're values shared by many faiths and indeed non-faiths, so it's not particularly pushed as a set of Christian values. It's more these are the ways that we think children should grow up, and the ways that they should relate to each other, and whether that's compassion, friendship, respect, courage, forgiveness, love, trust, all of those things. It's an ongoing conversation with children centred on those values that we feel are really important in life. Yeah, well, this slide is about the ethos that the school, the whole school, shares. It's perhaps interpreted slightly differently as the children get older, as you'd expect. It will be age appropriate. So we still talk in terms of perseverance and commitment and self-reliance and those things. We still believe in constructive feedback, and we still use the ethos behind the zone board in that there are cumulative steps that the children will experience depending on how they interact with each other and with the staff throughout the day or the week or the month or the year. So the ethos is there. What we don't tend to do so much of is display the zone board and the names. We as a group of teachers in years 3 and 4 very much believe that successful growing up from this point of view of the children, successful learning and happy classrooms are based on positive and constructive relationships and the idea of community rather than coercion. Now, there are times when a little bit of coercion is a way to build a little bit of community, but the vast majority of the time we believe in taking the time to see the whole child and understand what has gone on, and we will often take time out of class to do this. Obviously the class will need attending to, but if somebody's come in from lunchtime and they're upset by something and they've done something, either good, bad or something that's gone wrong, we will almost universally take the time to take those children aside and have a conversation with them. We very much believe that that's the most important thing that we can do. There's always a reason behind people's behaviour, and teaching children to get in touch with the intrinsic results of their behaviour. That is, I don't want to put it as rewards and punishments, the consequences to them inside. Getting children to reflect and think about that is far more valuable than giving them a carrot for doing well, which is an extrinsic reward, or a punishment for not doing so well. Is a conversation a punishment? Is causing somebody to reflect on their behaviour a punishment? No, I don't think it is if it's done in a compassionate way. Of course, it all happens within the structure of the zone board, so a conversation will be one thing, but if things have gone severely wrong, then of course you as parents will be included in that conversation. It in no way is an easy option for children. It's no way avoiding the consequences of their behaviour, but growing up is about learning about yourself, isn't it? And maturity is about ultimately knowing yourself well, and that is facilitated more by acceptance and reflection than it is by something external in terms of rewards and punishments. So those conversations take place. Yes, there's the same structure behind the school policy, but it perhaps reflects a maturing child, a growing up child who actually now benefits from those sorts of conversations rather than zone board name moving. We do have house points. There's a congratulations assembly, there's taught partner cards, as there is in all year groups. Rest assured, the staff in year 3 and 4 make the development of your children the highest priority, and that is the all-round development, and every child's next step in that journey is different. So we do our utmost to get to know them and understand what makes them tick and where they're coming from, and hopefully we build a community that children want to belong to, and it becomes then a self-correcting body that monitors and polices itself, and really has no need for those external things that produce a hierarchical idea of who's bad and who's good. It's worked before, and I'm sure it will work again next year. We've got a lot of experience behind us, and you just have to trust us that is how it's going to be. And children are happy. I do think we have a very happy lower key stage 2, as we do in the whole school. But we've enjoyed a fair amount of success with this in the past, and it is our philosophy and how we will do it in the future. You will be fully part of that journey, and anything that we need to discuss with you, we will discuss with you, rest assured.